Hey guys, welcome back to the Everything Communication podcast. Back for episode 15. I think this is episode 15, it's either 15 or 16. I'll double check after this. But it's nuts to think that we're even here because there was a time I didn't even think this would get to episode 5. So thank you guys for coming along, being on the journey. Today we're going to be speaking about one of my favorite topics, actually. And to actually give this a proper introduction, I've wanted to be an entrepreneur for so long, right? Probably since I was a kid, and I realized that for me to have the type of lifestyle that I dreamt of, be able to take holidays more frequently, be able to provide for the people that I cared about other than just my family, the options were either work very hard in corporate for a very long time to eventually get there, or go into entrepreneurship where the chances of me attaining that level of wealth at a younger age was a lot more viable, right? And ever since I got my first taste of entrepreneurship, I was just trying stuff, right? Very young, like 18, and made my first sale, not having a clue what I was doing. I was like, yeah, I know this is for me. Like, I 1,000% know this is for me. Like, I find it so freeing and enjoyable and all of that kind of stuff, right? But before I actually got to that point where I had made my first sale, there was a whole process of changing my mindset and getting more and more into psychology, which is quite early on where I came across the notion of discipline, right? And at its core, what discipline really is doing the same thing regardless of the circumstances. So if I say I am going to go to the gym every day, me being a disciplined gym goer would mean that regardless of when it's raining, snowing, the sun is shining, there's a heat wave, there's a thunderstorm, I'm going to the gym. I'll find a way to make it work because it's just who I am, right? It's part of my discipline. And it's so funny because I used to think that like I actually had a lot of discipline. I used to think that I had a lot of self-control. Like I was really good. That was an area I didn't need to worry about, right? I realized recently that that wasn't really the case. It was just that I had a lot of time. That was it. I didn't have loads going on. I didn't have a lot to do. So the things that I committed to doing, it was very easy for me to keep them up because if I wasn't doing that, then I was watching anime or I was playing PS5. So it was like it was quite easy to put those things to the side, right? But now that life is filled with work, relationships, family, gym, all of this stuff, it's a lot harder to actually commit and stick to the things that we set out to do, which is where I've really been reminded again and again and again over the past like month or so now to just do what you can. It sounds so simple, but a lot of us have this idea in our heads that if we can't do 100%, we might as well just give up. We might as well just give up. If we had set in our heads that every time we go to the gym, we want to spend an hour there, we want to do 5 different exercises, we might have 20 minutes in our day because a bunch of other things have happened. Life has happened, right? As it does. And in those 20 minutes, we could go to the gym and do 1 exercise, or we could do 2 exercises. But because it's not the 5, because it's not the hour, we have in our heads that, nah, I can't. It doesn't, there's no point. I might as well just dash it. When really, those 20 minutes will allow the extra work that you have done, all the other 1 hour sessions that you've done before it, to continue to compound. And all you're doing is reaffirming to yourself that you are a gym goer. what you're doing is reaffirming to yourself in those moments where it's like you can't reach perfection, but you can still do something. This is who you are. This is what you do. It's not a seasonal thing. It's not because the weather is nice. It's not because now you feel like it or you have the energy or you have the time, but this is just who you are. But you can only get to that point of really accepting going to the gym, adopting a new diet, of being an entrepreneur, of being someone who's taken more seriously at work, of being someone who is intentional about their relationships by continuing to show up. And the only way you can continue to show up is by doing what you can. Because life is going to happen. We're humans. Right? It reminds me of the story of the life. What am I talking about? The story of the turtle and the hare. Right? For any of you that were living under a rock, obviously the story of the tortoise and the hare is about a race between these two animals, right? Tortoises, obviously, quite traditionally, they're very slow. So this tortoise is walking like step by step by step by step, but he's moving forward, but just very slowly. Then you have this hare, right? This bunny or whatever. What is a hare? What even is a hare, actually? I think it's a bunny. I think it's a rabbit. I could be wrong. Let me know. But you have this animal, this creature, right? That is a lot faster than a tortoise. And so everyone's thinking, yeah, I can't lie, clear. There's no point even watching this race. Obviously, the hare's gonna win. Why are we here? This don't make sense. Now the race begins, and the tortoise steps off step by step by step, and the hare just zooms past. But the race continues to go on, and the tortoise continues to go step by step, but the hare now is slowed down. It's still running, but just not as fast. And the race continues. And eventually it gets to a point where the tortoise actually overtakes the hare because the tortoise understood the concept of doing what you can. The tortoise understood what it was capable of, and it continued to walk forward. It paced itself. Whereas the hare, because it had this idea that it just needed speed, all it needs to do was just boom, just go. And that's all it took. That's all it was going to take to get there, to get to the finish line, to get to the goal, to win. It ended up burning itself out. It ended up doing too much, too quickly. And then instead of doing what it could, the hare gave up. The hare could no longer move forward. And so the lesson we can learn from that story is really to do what you can and be smart about that. Be smart about knowing what you're capable of. Have some humility and accept the things that you are capable of and you aren't capable of. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the things that you find easier and the things that are going to take more from you? And so, in some areas, you're going to need to be that tortoise. You're going to need to go quite slowly. But the key thing, the important thing is that you continue going. And this is why it's so important to do what you can. It's so important not to look to the left or the right of you and what other people are doing, not to take in the opinions of people that are not in the field, that are not on the track, they're not running the race, they're just giving you their opinions. They're giving you their 2 cents from outside the bank, bro. They're trying to beg for some small change and they're telling you how to invest yours. That doesn't make sense. That don't make no sense. And so it's actually insane. It's wild for us to change our minds, to change the path that we're on because of what we see someone else doing in their lives, because of the idea, because of this deep rooted emotion or feeling that we have to impress other people. It's utterly ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. And so instead, what you should do is what you can, quite simply, and define that for yourself. And so that's actually going to be the homework that I want to give you guys from this week, is to define what you can do for yourself. The number one goal, number one thing that you're working to right now, what is the minimum thing that you could do every day to push yourself forward, to get yourself closer to that goal? That might be sending 5 messages a day to new people on LinkedIn because you want to grow your network. Or it could be putting your trainers on in the morning because you want to start going to the gym more. Right? Or it could be filling up your water in the morning because you want to drink more water. What is the minimum thing? What is the thing that is so simple, so easy that you're like, oh, I could do that in my sleep? What is that thing? And then do it every day. Because that's what you can do when life gets in the way. Because trust me, it will. And with that, I bid you guys adieu. I'll catch you guys in the next episode of the Everything Communication podcast.